Member for Khalid Manarayak, Mr. Lightstone.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My questions are for the Minister of Justice, and they concern the very serious issue of human trafficking. Mr. Speaker, the 2021 Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women, Girls, and 2 SLGBTQIA+ people National Action Plan was released in June of last year. As the Minister will recall, the 2022 Progress Report on the implementation of the National Action Plan was released 2 weeks ago. And this Progress Report includes information on actions taken to date by the Government of Nunavut in a variety of areas, including measures to combat human trafficking. Mr. Speaker, the report indicates that the Territorial Department of Justice has, and I quote, established a Victims of Crime Emergency Fund for travel costs to return to their home Nunavut community and the purchase of emergency supplies and prescription medication. Mr. Speaker, I'm very pleased and grateful to read about this new initiative undertaken by the Department of Justice, although I was a bit surprised as I had not heard of this new initiative. I'd like to ask if the Minister can indicate when this fund was established and approximately how many victims his department has assisted to date under this program. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Minister of Justice, Mr. Simailak.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I thank the member for his question. It is a very serious situation. It's a shame that it happens. It's a shame that it was needed. Sorry. The Victim of Crime Emergency Fund was created in October of 2021, so it's basically brand new. I believe there's been 7 families that have accessed this emergency fund. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
For supplementary, Mr. Lightstone.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to thank the Minister for his response, and I'd also like to extend my gratitude to the departmental officials who work within victim services at the Department of Justice. As the Minister will be aware, Tungasuvvingat Inuit is based in Ottawa and does wonderful work to support the Inuit community in our nation's capital city. In July of 2021, the organization received funding from the Ontario provincial government under its anti-human trafficking strategy. Information published by the organization indicates that it assists Inuit who are currently or have in the past engaged in sex work or are looking to exit the sex trade or who are victims or survivors of human trafficking. It is my understanding that the initiative now serves Inuit as young as 13 years of age. I'd like to ask the Minister if he can indicate how his department, as specifically Victim Services or Victims of Crime Emergency Fund, works with Tungasuvvingat Inuit on anti-human trafficking initiatives. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Minister of Justice, Mr. Simailak.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, the member, for his question. If I'm understanding correctly, we have not worked with Tungasuvvingat Inuit yet on any of this. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Second and final supplementary, Mr. Lightstone.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Again, I'd like to thank the Minister for his response. As the program is very new, just several months old, that response is understandable. As the Minister will appreciate, it is vital that the government undertake effective interdepartmental and interagency cooperation to combat human trafficking and child sexual abuse. This is an issue that I will have and will continue to push throughout our Assembly's term of office. Mr. Speaker, I believe that the Department of Family Services also has an important role to play in this area, given its statutory responsibilities for child protection. I'd like to ask, can the Minister describe how the Department of Justice works with the Department of Family Services to combat human trafficking of youth and children in the government's care? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Minister of Justice, Mr. Samaila.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank the member for his question. The Department of Justice, through the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, do work regularly with the Department of Family Services on files and supporting vulnerable Nunavut Inuit that have suffered abuse. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
All questions. Member for Ivy League.